It's been a while since I've done any work on the Corvette. Last thing I did was I brought it up from the workshop down there in what used to be a barn. Brought it up, put it in the garage at the house, and one of the things I want to get fixed before I put the interior all together is I want to try to get the factory alarm working. So I've been poring over some wiring diagrams for quite a while. So you're probably not going to be able to see this very well, but I've been trying to decipher all this and put only the stuff that is relevant to the factory alarm on one sheet of paper. But what I found here is an anti-theft warning switch, and it connects a black and a white wire, and it's not clear what that actually is, but it's under the part of the wiring diagram that says engine compartment. So I would assume that that is under the hood. Now, there's also on this page an anti-theft hood switch, okay, which has a black and a white wire connected to it as well. Normally when the black and the white wires, I think I've decided, are hooked to something, that's just a connection that's going to, when it's closed, provide a ground for the current to flow. So then we get on to page 2 of the wiring diagram, and let's see if I can find anything that's on here that's relevant. So on page 2, the only thing that's relevant because it appears to be missing something, is 2 connectors here. If you can see, that one says 975 and it has pink wire attached to it. I think that's supposed to somehow provide power to the system, but when you look at the other side of the connector, 975, trying to hold this still with one hand and point with the other, shows no wire. So the wiring diagram appears to be incomplete here. So then we're going to move on to page 3 of the wiring. So there's really nothing relevant to the alarm system here, but one thing that can confuse you is that there's a right hand door jamb switch with a white wire going into it, and then there's a left hand door jamb switch with a black and a white wire. Basically these are for the courtesy lights. They don't really impact the alarm system at all. So then going on to page 4 of the wiring diagram. Page 4 of the diagram doesn't have anything relevant to the alarm system, but I want to point out just one thing here, if I can hold the camera steady enough, is there's a pink wire here. That is the pink wire that goes from the connector that doesn't have anything leading into it. So then we go on to page 5 of the wiring diagram. Page 5 has several things that are relevant. It's got the anti-theft flasher, which has a yellow wire going into it. I would assume the power comes from there because the white wires anytime any of those switches get closed, it makes a connection between a white wire and a black, and the black is the ground. Then there's the anti-theft relay here. And this one really confuses me because ultimately it attaches, there's a pink wire, a white wire, and a black wire. Now remember, the black wire and the white wire end up, you connect those two and the white wire becomes a ground because the blacks are grounded. So it looks like the pink might provide power to this, and this is where I don't understand it, because I think something's missing from this, because if the pink provides the energy and you ground out the black, then maybe it connects the white wire to ground. I'm not sure what exactly that does, but we're gonna have to do some digging with a voltage meter and see what we can figure out on that. The other thing that is on here, if I can find it real quick, there is a right-hand door ajar switch which has two wires. It has a light blue and a white. The light blue comes from the light on the dashboard that says door ajar. So it provides a ground. If this is, well, if the door is open, it connects the blue to the white, and then the white, as I said, becomes the ground when the alarm is triggered. So that would trigger that alarm, I think, as I can figure out. And then there's a left-hand door ajar switch with also a light blue and a white wire. And basically, the light blue wires are connected. So if either of these doors, either of these switches is connected, the door ajar light comes on, and if the alarm is powered, it sets off the alarm. So, on to page 6 of the wiring diagram. And finally we get to the anti-theft horn. And this is where it gets confusing, because it's got two pink wires coming into it and one yellow wire. The yellow wire is between it and the flasher for the anti-theft system. The pink wire, I have to look at the thing I drew here, goes between, one of the pink wires goes between the horn and the anti-theft relay that we saw back on page 5. Right there, that pink wire is attached to the horn. So, not sure how that works, because you got one attached between the relay and the horn, and one goes to a connector, and they don't show where it goes from there. So we're going to have to try to figure that out. And the other thing important on this page, if I can find out where I saw it before, maybe I'll just ask you to take my word for it, but somewhere on this I saw that the black wires go to a ground to the frame. There it is, right there. Be blocking the light a little bit. Come on. So the black wire, ground to frame, and it connects to a bunch of other grounds, so that's where it gets the ground, or one of the places it can get it. There's also one at the hood switch. So, taking that and trying to draw it on one page for me here. You have the hood ajar switch, which goes to a ground, and the black wire comes in one side of it, white wire goes out the other side. So again, if this is closed, you get a ground. And then there's the first switch we looked at, the anti-theft switch. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be the key in the fender, but if it is, all it does is connect a ground, and I don't see, because of that one missing wire in the diagram, I don't see where the power comes in, and I don't see how at the horn there's two pink wires. One goes to the connector that's unconnected on the other side of the connector. The other one goes to the anti-theft relay. And again, I don't understand how that works, because it only shows 3 terminals. 2 of them would end up being a ground. The other likely becomes a power source, but if you connect that, it almost looks like it just connects the power to ground, which that isn't right, I don't think. So there might be some problems with the wiring diagram in the manual. And then the door ajar switches, and those go to the dash lights, the blue wire. The other wire coming out of that is white, which if any of these are connected, then that white becomes a ground. And then we have the flasher with a yellow wire between it and the horn. And again, the pink wires, one goes to the relay, one is who knows. So I'm gonna put some work clothes on, grab a multimeter, go out into the garage and start doing some checking, see if I can figure out what's powered when I have the key on, or what's connected underneath the hood. If you recall, way back when I first started this, it had an aftermarket alarm system on it, and it had a switch to turn it on. It wasn't tied into the factory alarm system, but when that was attached, if I turned the factory alarm switch on, it immediately set off the factory alarm. And in that alarm system, and it's not shown on this diagram here anywhere, there's a tamper switch on the back of that key, which was loose and unable to be tightened. So I got a new one, put it in, and got it working properly, and I expected that that was going to solve the problem, since every time I turned the key on, the alarm started going off, because the way it had failed, that's what should have happened. So like I said, I'm going to put some work clothes on and grab my multimeter and this chart right here, run out to the garage and start seeing what I can find out. Okay, the car's up on the left, and I just want to point out that's the key where you turn on the alarm. I'm going to take you underneath and show you the wires that connect to that. Okay, right up in there you see an orange wire and a pink wire. Those go to that switch. And I believe, and it's just a guess, that the orange wire provides the power to that switch. And then it connects to the pink so that whenever it's on, I should have voltage back at the horn, on the pink wire going into the horn. The black and the white wire there are the tamper switch wires. And basically all the tamper switch is it's connected to the bracket that the key switch is attached to. There's a button on it, and you push it up against the key switch so that if somebody yanks the key cylinder out, it grounds out and it sets off the alarm. So I replaced that new. That's the part that wasn't working, and in the way it was broken, you couldn't tighten it up against the key cylinder so that anytime you turned the key, it was grounded because that switch was not depressed. And that's why I thought that was going to fix it once I replaced that, but when I tested it, it didn't work. So the next thing I'm going to do is go to the back where the horn is. So apparently the anti-theft switch that was on the wiring diagram is not the one that's got the key cylinder in it, because it has a black and a white wire attached to it, and all that would do is ground it out and cause the relay to trigger. Well, there's the horn in the back. I can't even see the wires going into it. This one's on the left, or the side marker light. But the reason I can't see those is if I back off here, the muffler is in the way. The gas tank kind of is in the way. If the muffler wasn't there, I could reach around. I mean, if the gas tank wasn't there, I could reach around the muffler. But that's going to be very hard to get to. I'm going to lower the car and take a look inside and look at the hood switch underneath and see if maybe I can fix it without taking down that muffler. I don't know if I'm going to be able to try to show this from this angle, but I'm testing the hood switch. Now I've got the voltmeter set on ohms at a very low setting, and when I connect the two probes, you can see that I have continuity. The 1 means it's an open circuit. So I'm going to try to take this over there and put it where you can see it and I can see it, and test the switch. See if we actually have a ground. The hood is open now, so I should have a ground. And what I'm going to do is connect one of these probes to the bottom of the hood switch and one to the ground. And as you can see, I have continuity that way. Now I'm going to try to do this all at once, connect it, show continuity, and then depress the switch. As soon as I depress the switch, the circuit's broken. I let it go. Again, I show continuity. It's very hard to hold these on here, so that's why it's I press it and it just even a very little bit, and it breaks continuity. Take it off. Then you have a ground. So that switch isn't the problem. Now I'm wondering if I can somehow depress this and hold it down so that there's not a ground. And I think if the way I studied the wiring diagram, that if I can do that and then open the door, I should be able to show that that completes the circuit. So I'm going to try to figure out how I can hold that down and test it, and then open the door, and that should show me a ground if it's working properly. Okay, what I've done is clamp the two probes to the ground and to the hood switch to show that they're connected. It's jumping around because it's probably not a very good connection, but it's at least going to show me what I want. So now I'm clamping the switch open or closed. Well, the switch is open, meaning it's depressed like as if the hood was down. Now, if my thinking is right on this, if I open a door, it should ground out the system. And there you go. Driver's side door does ground out the system. I open it, close it, it's no longer grounded out. I sure hope I don't have to get to either the switch in the fender or the horn to fix this, because I'm going to try the passenger door. It's open and it grounded out. So those triggers for that should be working to trigger the alarm. I think what I've got is a power to the alarm problem. So next thing is going to be to go into the jack compartment in the back where the relay is and see what's in there. So it's almost impossible for me to set up the camera so you can see inside there, but that's the jack compartment right there. You can see the jack. I'm going to try to go unscrew the relay and see if I can pull it up to show it to you and see what we're checking out in there. Okay, there's one screw that holds the relay onto the back side of that little wall behind the seats. Let's see if I can take that out. Maybe I can actually get that relay up where I can see it. I stuck my head in behind here, and you can actually see the I think this is too big of a socket. You can actually see the flasher, and I saw a yellow wire going to it, so I'm pretty sure that's the alarm flasher that causes the horn to go on and off when it's triggered. So that was a 5/16 head on the screw that held that relay on. Haven't done this in a while, I'm just going to turn the key to the alarm switch on. Should do nothing because it wasn't working last time. Magic, it worked. Huh. I wonder if I just hadn't turned the key fully or something when I tested it down in the barn. I am going to do a little playing around just for grins since I've already got this camera set up and that. I just want to, you know, I've searched all over the internet. There's nothing out there on how to fix these things and how to diagnose them. I want to just see if I can turn that key on and whether that pink wire has power to it with the key on, because that would be a helpful tip for diagnosing it, because you could disconnect that, and if the pink wire has power, when you turn the key on, you know the rest of that works. You would be able to diagnose the door switches and the hood switch just like I already have shown you, and that would be at least a help in getting it figured out for somebody that's needing help. Okay, all I've done is unplug the relay from the connector, and I put my voltmeter on 12 volts or 20 volts because I should be reading somewhere around 12 or 13. First thing I'm going to do, I don't have the alarm switch on, so hopefully I can do this without getting my hand in the way of the camera. So I'm going to try jumping between the pink wire and the black wire. Maybe I can get them inserted in there so that I can read them without having to get in the way. So that's with the key off. Let's see what happens if I turn that key on. Okay, so what I have inadvertently done by jumping the pink wire and the black wire is made the connection that the that the relay would have made when a door or the hood was opened. Now I'm going to try and close both of the doors, and I try to do this without, I have a battery tender on it. I want to try to not pinch those wires, but I'm going to close both doors. I still have the clamp in the hood switch, even though the hood's up. I've locked it down as if the hood was closed. So I'm going to go turn that key again, see if we get anything this time. Okay. So there's an important diagnostic clue. With the key on, the alarm switch key on, that pink wire is powered, and it's just waiting for somebody to open the door. Now, my understanding is that if you close the door with the relay in place, it does not turn the alarm off. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe we'll have to try that out. That would be another important diagnostic bit of information. So what I'm going to do off camera is disconnect the voltmeter, put the relay back in, and then we'll test the alarm again. Okay, so the relay is back in. I still have the hood switch being held up as if the hood was down, held down as if the hood was down. To test the alarm this time, I'm going to go remove that. And that should trigger the alarm. So that worked. I didn't think it was going to work at first because there was this momentary pause. I'm going to try turning the key again and setting off the alarm and then closing the hood, see if that actually stops it or not. Well, apparently opening and closing the hood turns it on and off. As does the door. Since I checked the other door already, I don't think I'm going to go over there and retest it again. Everything appears to be working properly. I think that's going to be so cool to be able to go to a car cruise and get at and just turn that key, set my alarm and walk away, just like old school. Fits me perfectly. Well, that'll be it for this video. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. So I lied. This is not the end of the video. The shop manual said that there were switches in the T-tops, so if you removed the T-top, the alarm would go off. However, I've had this whole interior out. I didn't see any switches nor any wiring going up to the T-tops to be able to ground it out. So I think that might have been for a later model, something they added later, because the shop manual is for 68 to 82. So that's one thing. The other thing is, I think, based on what I've done here today, I know how this actually works. I think I figured it out. So I'm going to draw a couple more things on my little diagram I have here and go over that. But my pencils and stuff are in the house and it's warmer in there, so I'm going to do that in the house. Before I forget to mention it, when I was back there in that compartment where the relay is and the flasher is, there were 2 black wires, actually 3 black wires, but 2 of the 3 went into one connector, and then there was a separate one into its own connector, and there was an orange wire, and there's nothing back there to connect them to. So I don't know if they were for, I don't know, possibly a power seat in the passenger side or whatever, but they are there. They don't affect the operation of the anti-theft system, so I'm just leaving them alone. Okay, I'm back in the house where it's a little bit warmer, and I'm going to draw in the rest of this diagram based on what I think I learned while I was out there investigating it. So I've added a fender's key switch. That's the one where you turn on the alarm system from the outside. So that had 2 wires going to it. I'm going to try to hold this with my left hand and draw with my right hand. So one of those wires was an orange, and that went to a constant volts, whether the key was on or not. And the other side of that switch, that is it was a pink wire, and that wire is the one that I believe goes down to the other pink wire that was attached to the horn. Now it seems a little bit strange that that pink wire would go to the horn and to the relay, but here's what I think happens when you connect any one of these hood switches or the anti-theft switch, which I don't know where that is. I don't think there is one on the 76. But either of the door ajar switches on either door, once those ground out, this white wire provides a ground for this pink power wire, and it connects the white and the black, which now allows current to flow through the horn out to the flasher, and then that provides the ground. That's also a white wire. Maybe it's reversed. Maybe the black wire provides the ground, but at any rate, that's what triggers this relay to provide the power to the horn. once one of these other, I guess it's the white wires, ground out. And that allows it to function. Now, the one other thing that I talked about out there was the tamper switch for the switch in the fender. That basically would be, I'm screwing up on the drawing, that would be basically right here. Ignore this line. And it's basically an on-off switch. One wire's white, and it would go to the white wires, and one wire's black, and it would go to any of the other black wires to provide a ground, so that if somebody, this is normally, there's a button here, if somebody pulls the key cylinder out, it actually would connect these two wires and set off the alarm. So I know this isn't 100% clear, but like I said, I did a lot of research on the internet, and I think this is as good, if not better, an explanation of how this thing works, and this video will give you some ideas on how to troubleshoot it and see where your problem is. And the other thing I wanted to mention is, I don't know how long I left the door open when I tested it down in the barn, in the shop. I may have just opened it, if you recall, when I closed the hood switch. There was a little delay before the alarm came on. If I just opened the door real quick and it didn't come on, and I closed it real quick, maybe I just did it too fast. So that is one possibility, because I really didn't fix anything today. All I did was troubleshoot and diagnose and decide that it worked. So maybe it was just simply I didn't leave it, the hood or the door open long enough to trigger the alarm, or I didn't turn that key far enough and make contact on that fender switch. But I don't think I had a problem prior to today. But if this video helps somebody figure out their alarm system, it will be worth it. Have a good day.